So it becomes important for the teacher to kind of prepare the student for this. Practice tests once they're ready. So they get used to the timing of this and used to sitting for so long. Okay. Now, I'm going to go on to the other two levels. Now, the other two levels I've kind of paired because they're actually quite similar. The grade 5 and 6. Oh, I've noticed another typo here. Apologies. Let me just show this here. So this should be 7, 8 over here. Okay, so that's grade 5 and 6, and this should say 7 and 8. Okay. So they start off with the writing sample. The middle level writing samples are very similar to the upper level writing samples. Sometimes the upper level writing samples include a little bit different sort of verb tense or slightly different nuance to the type of writing prompt that they get. But generally, it's the same, and they should plan for about 5 minutes, and then they'll have about 20 minutes left in order to do their writing. And as I'll say in a minute, I really encourage the students to take that 5 minutes at the beginning and really plan what they want to say, because what they'll be looking for is a beginning and middle and end to what they're writing. So if they plan it out well, they'll be able to get through that. And again, that takes a lot of practice. So they do that, and then they get a 5-minute break. Now, this 5-minute break is really just a stretch. The students then do 25 questions in 30 minutes, and this is the quantitative section, so it's the first section of math. And these are generally at least partially word problems. I mean, some of them may be sort of straight math, but most of them have a problem-solving component to them. So once that's done, they get into what I would consider to probably be the most difficult section of the test for second language learners, which is the reading section. And they have 40 minutes to complete 40 questions. But within those 40 questions, they are reading. So there are anywhere between sort of 6, 7, 8 pieces of reading that they will do, and then they'll answer questions on those. 10-minute break so they can use the washroom or whatever. Then they're right back into the verbal section, and the verbal section again is the vocabulary. So the two types are the synonyms and the analogies. So this is really fast. Now it's all multiple choice. Most of this test is multiple choice, but they're at 30 seconds per question now. So 60 questions for 30 minutes. And then finally next they get into the quantitative section, which is more math. 25 and 30 again, same as the first one. And then finally, there are 16 questions to finish in the experimental section. And the experimental section is not scored, but it is a section of the test that they have to do. And what it seems like that is for is probably for SSAT to norm these against how the students do and then use these in future tests. Once the students write their tests, it generally takes about 2 weeks, and then they can log on or they'll receive an actual report. So this is a sample report from the website of a grade 4 student. And these are the scores. So what they do is they take the scores for that test and they scale the students on a bell curve. And then from that, they create a scaled score. It gives an overall score, the personal scoring range, and then percentile ranks. So I am most interested in the percentile ranks. So let me just explain what that means. It's not a percent, and some of you may be familiar with percentile ranks already. But what this means is that if this student scored 51 in the verbal section, it means that conceivably, out of 100 students, 49 would score better and 50 would score lower. So this student is really right in the middle of where they should be for the verbal section. So even though 51 looks like not such a good score, it's actually right within the average. The students scored a little bit lower in math, so that would mean that I guess 69% would have scored higher and 30% would have scored lower. But look, this student did really well in reading, and there would have only been 18 students out of 100 who conceivably would have done higher. So above average, slightly below average, right within the average. Okay, parents will sometimes get this and go, oh my goodness, 51, 31, these are terrible scores. But remember, that's not the score of the questions they got right or wrong, because the score is scaled. Okay, so it's scaled on a bell curve. Students are often most interested in this number. Now, I suspect, I'm not speaking from any kind of experience at all, but I suspect that the schools are looking at a bigger picture than even just these scores. They're probably looking at several different factors. But the students and parents are often most concerned with that score. Many students write the test more than once, so often the students will try to beat their previous score. So the score range, of course, it kind of explains it up here. So for the elementary students, the highest they could potentially score would be 1800. So this student scored 1335, and the total possible score would have been 600. Now it says down here, independent schools vary in their approach to using test scores. So that's quite important to note. So at this point, I'd like to stop, and I'd like you to think about what are some of the challenges that you would think students might face on this test. So those could be challenges in terms of second language. These could be challenges in terms of behavior, even for the younger ones, just sitting for a long time. So when you think about the students who you are teaching, what might be some of the challenges that they face?